We continue the discussion about 2014 with an analysis of what we can expect in the economy. Joining me now is economist Robert ASHFORD, who teaches at Syracuse University and has just a really novel approach to the philosophy of economics. Thank you so much for being here on Arise America.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor.
I do appreciate it. Let's look back a little bit. This time last year, I think the predictions for 2013 were conservative and moderate at best, and the year largely outperformed most expectations, wouldn't you say?
I think they did, and it shows that the basics of the American economy are not in trouble. More fear, I think, than the reality. We don't have a production problem. We could produce more. We have efficiency. The problem really goes to the fact that the concentration of wealth and ownership stifles the economy. Poor and working people would be happy to spend more and happy to buy American products and happy to work more. And that potential is there. And that's where I think that the emphasis needs to be. I think President Obama is correct when he says that the debt is not our most serious problem.
Okay.
We do have to worry about the debt, but we have more urgent problems. And the debt will be taken care of when the economy begins booming and when individuals have the earning capacity. It's a great year, by the way, for equities, I think, and the next year will also be a good year for equities. The concern is that the poor and working people need to be able to earn more. And so we need help to enable them to earn more, and we need to help them to own more.
And explain more about what you mean about that, Robert, because I can hear some of the political pundits, particularly the conservative ones, practically shrilling at the top of their lungs about this. That our debt is at an all-time high, although it did not grow as fast as they predicted that it would in 2013. Why shouldn't we be afraid of this debt? Well,
you see, debt depends upon what kind of debt. A consumer debt is not very good. It enables people to buy what they can't afford. Capital debt, that is investing in instruments that pay for themselves, is a wonderful thing. Show me a corporation that's growing, and I'll show you a corporation that's building up profitable debt. Well, we need to invest in infrastructure. We need to invest in the creation of an educated workforce. We need to invest in ways that broaden ownership. Our founders didn't think democracy would survive with very narrowing ownership. They'd be very troubled with the gains all in the 1%. Well, we have to concern about jobs. We have to be concerned about helping people who don't have jobs. And we have to be concerned about enabling people to own more. Capital instruments that pay is a part of the American dream, and we have to refocus on broadening ownership.
But isn't there some debt that's too much? Won't, at some point, the level of debt then eventually devalue the dollar, as well as make other economies wary of us and our ability to repay that debt?
Well, there is such a thing as too much debt. And too much debt is debt that you cannot foreseeably repay. Now, when the Standard & Poor's devalued the bond rating, the markets shrugged that off because America remained, despite this political controversy and the refusal of some people to pay our debts, America remained the best place to invest. So the market wasn't fooled by that. Standard & Poor's may have been fooled, but that basically, that potential default is like a rich person saying, I refuse to pay what I owe, yet his assets are there to pay what we'll owed.
But there was so much wailing and gnashing of teeth just over the threat of the debt ceiling not being raised and the U.S. defaulting on its debt, as you just said, caused Standard & Poor to downgrade us. Yes. And there was all of this, renting of clothes and pouring of ashes over that. So I guess, was that all political?
Well, there certainly was a political issue. There's no question that the United States, as a solvent government, is probably the most certain government to be able to repay its debts. It's a good investment. If you get a political process that's saying, well, we can pay, but we refuse to pay, that creates uncertainty, and it makes people uneasy about the economy.
Now, isn't this a time, it seems like, the economy is strengthening. We saw the economy grow at this, nice little 4-point-something% clip in the last quarter of last year. They expect it to continue to do that. So isn't this a good time to sort of pull the training wheels off, if you will, and allow the economy to move on its own steam?
Well, it depends, again, what you are borrowing money for and what you are undertaking. If we need roads, if we need bridges, if that's going to enhance business, if that's going to be a profitable investment, government investment, then it's not the time to do that. Again, when companies are making profits, they oftentimes borrow more. It's harder to borrow when you're not making profits. If you're profitable, that's when your credit is good and you can invest more. We have to be, though, concerned about the earning capacity of poor and working people. They're the people who are expected to buy the products that we have. And I must say, we do have a defective policy in one respect that both the left and the right don't seem to give attention to. We're helping people, trying to help people get jobs. We're trying to help people who need welfare assistance and unemployment assistance, but we're not helping people acquire capital with the earnings of capital. That's the way the rich don't work for their capital acquisition. They buy capital with the earnings of capital. And that same process of broadening ownership will create an environment where down the road, people are earning not only from labor and from maybe redistribution, but they're earning from capital income. And that will make this productive capacity today even more valuable.
And speaking of that, in the last few minutes that we have in our time to talk together, of course, one of the areas that has done well, particularly in 2013 toward the end, is the housing market. Housing construction has increased. It is increased not just, I believe, for business, but for residential. The question is, as you mentioned, the consumer confidence. Are people going to be willing to go out on a limb and try to get that mortgage to buy these homes?
Well, I think real estate is going to be a good investment because, first of all, I think that the mistakes that were made and the outrages that were committed and this assumption that the market's always going to go up and you can have the liar ones, that's a mistake that's maybe made once in a generation. I don't think those kind of mistakes are going to be made again. At the same time, unemployment is going down, so people are feeling more confident. Many people are simply not spending, not because they don't have earnings, but because they're afraid to spend until they have more certainty. I think the Republicans and the Democrats agree that uncertainty is not good for business. But who's creating the uncertainty?
Yeah, but all this infighting has created that uncertainty.
That's the problem.
Yeah, we'll have to leave the conversation right there, but it's fascinating, Robert Ashford. Thank you so much.
It's been an honor to be here with you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
And you're watching Arise America.